Hey guys, how's it going? Drownthony Gultano here. Today we're going to be talking about Ghost's fourth studio album that is coming out June 1st, Prequelle. By the time you see this video, the album may very well already be out, but I figured I would go ahead and do my review on this now. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the review. The full album has 10 songs, plus 2 bonus tracks, and altogether roughly estimates out to about 51-52 minutes of audio. So jumping right in, the first song we're going to talk about is Ashes. Now Ashes starts out pretty much being a Ring Around the Rosie cover in the style of Ghost, which is also pretty awesome, pretty creepy, and then leads into this nice instrumental, which I actually do really enjoy. So overall, I give this song a thumbs up. I don't know if you would really count this much as a song, as it does seem to pretty much just be an intro to the album. Just a little bit of spoken word, and then instrumental, and it transitions directly into Rats. On to Rats, of course. Rats is the first single that we heard off of this album. This has been all over the place, getting a lot of radio play, has become very, very popular. Overall, I really like Rats, and upon listening to this song a bit closer, it definitely has to do with some themes involving the lawsuit that is going on. I'm not here to talk about it, I'm just saying that it is definitely a part of this album, and it makes its presence well known on several different tracks. This song to me is very hyper, very 80s. I absolutely love it. It gets me pumped every time I hear it. You can't not sing along to Rats. It's just a really, really catchy tune, and overall really nice, and I think it really fits that Ghost feel. The third song on the album is Faith. Okay, whenever I heard Faith for the first time, it was live in Houston, and listening to it I was not a huge fan. Maybe where we were the audio wasn't quite as good as it was recently in Memphis. When you guys see this, the Memphis vlog will probably not be out yet, it's still being edited, but it was a lot better live. And listening to it again for the second time, I liked it a lot more. The song seems to open with almost like some Cannibal Corpse Slayer-esque riffs, really, really heavy. Not a huge fan of that in Ghost, and then we go into the rest of the song and the real core and meat of the song, and I absolutely love it. Super catchy, very, very Ghost, and it reminds me of the more Infestissimum era stuff, in my opinion, and I really, really enjoyed it. To me, this track does not disappoint and is definitely one of my favorites. Then we get into the fourth song on the album, See the Light. I do not like this song at all. It really does not have any redeeming qualities to me. This song seems to be purely based on, yet again, the lawsuit, and it really just feels out of place in the entire album. It doesn't really fit in, it doesn't really feel like a Ghost song, it more so seems almost like a fuck you to the ex-ghouls that are involved in the lawsuit and stuff like that. I don't really care if this is a song, I don't care for it for its content, and in the album I don't feel it fits in very well, but I think this is one of the weakest links on the album. If you remove it, it actually flows a lot better in my opinion. Just not a huge fan of this one, just big thumbs down. For the fifth track on the album, we have Miasma. Now, if you guys don't know what miasma is, it's essentially like an odor or stench. Yet again, this is heavily based on the plague. Singing this song live really is a treat. I personally prefer it better live, but recorded is still very, very nice. Either way, I think it's a really, really good showcase of the skill of the current ghouls as it goes through, letting them all basically have their own solos and just really builds to this nice big saxophone finish, which if you see it live, you get to see Papa Nil or Papa Zero, whichever you prefer to call him, come out with the saxophone and play. That's absolutely fantastic, and this is actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Ghost instrumental. Of course, Genesis can never be touched. I don't think anything will ever be better than Genesis instrumental-wise. However, this song definitely comes close, and I would put in second place easily. I absolutely love this song. This is one of my favorites on the album, yet again. The sixth track on the album was the second single, I believe, that we heard, which is Dance Macabre. This song is absolutely fantastic. It really does not have too much of a spooky vibe to it or a ghost vibe to it, and the plague themes are there if you look for them, but it's really not heavy-handed and not very apparent. Overall, this is a very, very stadium rock and pop-esque song, and just has a really, really good vibe to it. It's a great song to dance to. Yet again, like Rats, every time I hear it, gets me super pumped. I'm dancing to it, I'm jamming out. Hearing it live, yet again, absolutely fantastic. I predict this song to be the big hit from the album. I think this could possibly net them another Grammy. Because it's just very, very good, and like Phil Anselmo said, big, big song, big, big song. It's a good one. The seventh song on the album is Pro Memoria. We actually did get to hear a good bit of this song on the Chapter 3 video that was recently released, where you get to see the Papas die, and every time you listen to it, to me at least, that's what I think of. Seeing it live, yet again, fantastic, but I always think back to that video, just seeing all three papas being laid to rest. Very, very strong song. I like the first half of it better than the second half, but still very, very good. The instrumental that they use in this, they tend to reuse throughout the album a few different times. So I guess I don't know what they're trying to do there, if they're just very, very proud of that instrumental, or whether it's they're trying to carry a theme. But to me, it works best in Pro Memoria and almost feels kind of out of place in some other places in the album. But the song is absolutely beautiful, and I personally love it. Yet again, another strong track on this album. Number 8 is Witch Image. I do not like the name to this song at all. It seems just really strange and out of place to me. That's just a personal preference. But the song itself, the first time that I listened to it, I didn't really care for it. I was like, ooh, I don't know, whatever. And after listening to it again, and then throughout the rest of the times that I've re-listened to this album before doing this review, I really, really enjoyed this song. It is very good, very, very good. I like it. I like it as a song. I like it as a ghost song. Yet again, just fantastic. I know right now in groups it is getting a lot of hate, but yet again, that's all based on personal preference. People are going to hate on whatever they want. To me, at least, this is a thumbs up song. Number 9 is Helvetesfonster. I hope I said that correctly, which I do believe translates to Hell Window, which if you don't know is back during the plague times, the dresses the women would wear, the little side cuts where you could see cleavage. This was referred to as the Helvetesfonster, or yet again the Hell Window, because essentially guys could see side boob and, you know, looking at it was sinning. So you were kind of looking through this window at your own eternal torment because you're sinning and going to hell. The name is definitely interesting. They tend to do this kind of stuff with all these different instrumentals. Listening to this instrumental, the first half of it I really don't care for, and then the second half I also really do not care for. This one I think you could take out of the album and I would be happier with it. For 6 minutes long, it really does not do anything for me personally. If some of you like it, that's great, that's fine. But for me, I felt this was yet again another weak point on the album. And to wrap up the album in and of itself, number 10 is Life Eternal. This song is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I like the song in and of itself. It is pretty nice. Seems a bit repetitive and doesn't have a lot of substance, but I do like it. I do just think that it is a really, really weak ending to the album in and of itself. And that's my biggest complaint about this album, is it seems kind of weak. A lot of the punch comes really, really early in the beginning, and then it gets weaker at the end, which I guess could be intentional, maybe to signify, you know, really strong as the plague is oncoming, and then afterwards getting sickly and dying out as you begin to get weaker. I'm not entirely sure. I guess that could make sense, but to me, as an album, it just seemed to lack a little bit of punch, and there's just something about it that I can't put my finger on, that it just feels incomplete. It feels like it's definitely missing something. A lot of the songs in and of themselves are great as singles, and I think also altogether in the context of an album it's good, but each song individually just can't really stand on its own. There are a few that just really don't stand in and of their own. You have to listen to it in the context of the full album, in my opinion. There are some of them that are very, very strong, like Dance Macabre, Miasma, Rats, and then Faith. But yet again, overall, I think the second half of the album is very weak and it does die out. So now that I'm actually recording this and thinking about it, that would make sense. After listening to the album all the way through, I can say that it definitely does seem to carry the message of starting out really strong, and then the plague invades, and as it goes you just have to come to grips with death in and of itself, and I think that happens right around Pro Memoria. To me, that song really is about accepting your own mortality and accepting your fate, and then afterwards, from there on out, it almost seems like looking for redemption, and then finally passing away, and then life eternal is kind of the final goodbye as the people die from the plague, I would assume. Overall, now that I think about it in that context, it works really, really well as an album, but yet again, to me, as singles, a lot of these tracks are really weak, but a lot of them also are very, very strong. I'm going to say it's about a 50-50. Then talking about the two bonus tracks, which is It's a Sin and Avalanche. It's a Sin is absolutely fantastic, really powerful, very Ghost-esque. This reminds me heavily of the If You Have Ghost era, and I really, really enjoy this song. It may be one of my favorite covers. And then we have Avalanche. I've never heard the original, I'll be quite honest, and I haven't listened to it again because I didn't like the cover, and I probably won't like the original. I may go and check it out, but in and of itself, I don't like this song very much. I don't like the story that it's telling. It's very like spoken word-esque, and just to me it doesn't really work. I think it's a very, very poor choice for a cover. There's no telling why they chose that one, but I didn't like it at all, and I can definitely say it is now my least favorite Ghost song and my least favorite Ghost cover. So anyways, to give this album a rating, I don't really have a point system that is directed on how strong I think something is versus how strong I think something else is, or how weak it is. It's more so just based on a feel. And I'm going to give this album actually 2 ratings. On a Ghost level of feel, I'm going to rate this album around a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. And as a musical feel of how much I personally enjoy the music in and of itself, on how it sounds, I'm going to give it actually around an 8.5. I actually really enjoy the album, and I enjoy a lot of the music. But for me, as far as it goes Ghost-wise, it has something missing. Leaves a bit to be desired, didn't really meet my expectation, and I mean the album may grow on me in the future, but as it sits right now with my first impression listening to the album for 6 times only, those are the ratings I'm going to stick with. Yet again, those are my personal opinions. Do not let my personal opinions persuade you to think any differently about any of these songs. But I thought I could just put a little bit of this into context and also just tell you my personal opinion. And then also I will touch a little bit on the overall look and feel of this. The merch from this tour cycle and this whole era I am really enjoying. This is probably my favorite Ghost shirt so far for what it says on the front and what it says on the back. They have a lot of good artwork, a lot of good characters, a lot of good costumes. Papa Nil is definitely my favorite Papa so far. His overall look and character feel to me is just the absolute coolest. I'm probably going to end up getting a tattoo of this artwork on me at some point in the near future. And then as far as the Cardinal, when I first saw him introduced in the Chapter 1 video, I did not like him. The mask was really washed out. He looked very young, not menacing, very goofy. And actually seeing him on stage and just in some more promo pics and stuff like that, he's actually one of my more favorite characters. I would put him right up there with Papa 1 and Papa Nil. I also do really enjoy the Nameless Ghouls. I like the new costumes as well as the new masks and their onstage presence. To me, this is right up there with the early Opus Eponymous era stuff with the mid-Opus robes. They're just very cool. And I think they have a great stage presence and overall put on a fantastic show. Then to speak about the artwork in and of itself a little bit, it definitely seems to be inspired by Pope Innocent X, the Mouth of Hell artwork, and some Sepultura album artwork. To me, the style is definitely a big change and a big drift away from the nice, clean, precise, futuristic almost style that Ghost has had with Infestissimum and Meliora. The artwork in and of itself is very good and very detailed, but it really just isn't for me. Not a huge fan of it. I don't think it's going to be great for merch, and even though it is on the bill of my hat, I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I just like the hat. Overall, the album's pretty good. If you guys want to check it out, please do. Please go buy it and support the band if you're interested. Thank you all for tuning in. Love you guys. See you next time.